The morning in Cedar Valley began like a whispered prayer, sunlight spilling gently across purple lupines, birds brushing the sky with soft wings, and a little girl wandering into the woods with a basket full of dreams. No one knew that, beyond those peaceful trees, behind the curtain of wind and shadows, a heartbeat was fading beneath the weight of ropes and fear. In the silence of the forest, a weak sound rose, a sound no child should ever hear. It was the moment innocence met danger, the moment a 9-year-old girl would walk straight into a miracle she never asked for. What Jesse found among the pines would change an entire town. Before we begin, tell me, where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments so we can breathe this journey in together. The morning in Cedar Valley unfurled like a hymn whispered by the mountains, soft, golden, and impossibly serene. Dew clung to the wild lupine fields like beads of silver, trembling under the first warm breath of sunlight. Pines stirred gently in the wind as though brushing sleep from their needles, and the creek behind the willow cabin murmured its usual morning blessing. Jessie Willow, 9 years old and barefoot with the audacity of childhood, hopped down the porch steps with a wicker basket bouncing against her elbow. She had promised her mother a fresh bouquet before lunchtime, something bright and sweet for the kitchen window. And Jessie was a girl of her word, even if her words were sometimes wrapped in giggles and half-finished sentences. The trail into the forest was familiar, a ribbon of earth she had walked since she was old enough to toddle after her father. Sunbeams spilled between the branches like the heavens had forgotten to turn off the lights. Birds argued cheerfully above her, and somewhere in the distance a woodpecker hammered out a rhythm like nature's own construction crew. Jessie paused beside a patch of lupines, the purple petals glowing like shards of dusk trapped in daylight. She knelt, humming a tune only she understood, and began cutting stems with the tiny flower scissors her mother had given her last spring. It should have been just another peaceful morning, a breath, a heartbeat, and then a sound that did not belong to the forest at all. A low, broken groan drifted through the trees, so faint Jessie almost mistook it for wind. She froze, scissors dangling loosely between her fingers, eyes widening. The sound came again, a rasping human sound. Someone was hurting. Jessie stood, the basket slipping slightly in her hand. For a moment, she considered running home to tell her father. That was what a sensible child might do. But curiosity, stubborn and bright as a firefly, pulled her forward. She took one cautious step, then another. A robin burst from the branches above, making her jump. "Please don't be a bear," she whispered to herself, because talking out loud made courage rise faster than silence. The groan came again, weak, strangled, definitely human. Jessie's heart thundered. She followed the sound through the underbrush until the trees opened into a small clearing she had never seen before. Sunlight pooled on the ground like spilled honey. And there, at the center of the clearing, was a sight that shattered the morning's peace so violently that Jessie forgot how to breathe. Deputy Cole Mercer, Cedar Valley's well-liked and always smiling deputy, was strapped upright against a pine tree. His uniform shirt was torn, blood darkened one side of his face. His hands were bound behind the trunk with thick steel cables that glinted coldly in the light. Beside him, also tied upright, was his K-9 partner, Valor, the German shepherd every kid in town adored. But the proud dog looked nothing like the hero everyone knew. His fur was matted with dirt and patches of dried blood. His sides rose in shallow, struggling breaths. His amber eyes were half closed, weighted by pain. But the worst thing, the thing that drove ice through Jessie's small veins, sat on Cole's chest. A bomb, a real bomb, the size of a lunchbox, strapped tightly with black tape. A small digital timer blinked red with mechanical calm, each flash like a heartbeat counting down the end. Jessie covered her mouth. Her knees almost gave way. The forest spun for a moment, as if even the world could not bear this cruelty. Cole's head lifted weakly. He squinted through bruised, swollen eyelids. "Jess, see?" His voice sounded like gravel dragged across stone. Jessie let out a tiny squeak, halfway between a sob and a gasp. "Deputy Mercer," she whispered, though she already knew the answer. His lips twitched into something like a smile, pained and thin as paper. "You found us." Jessie took a shaky step backward. Her instincts screamed to run, to flee to safety, to grab her father, her mother, the sheriff, anyone older, stronger, wiser. She was just a little girl. She didn't know anything about bombs or blood or dying. But then Cole spoke again, and the tremble in his voice rooted her feet to the earth. "Don't run!" Jessie's throat tightened. I need to get help," she stammered. "No time." Cole closed his eyes for a moment, as if the weight of his own fear was heavier than the cables holding him. "The timer. It's short. They didn't want me found." Jessie clutched her basket so tightly the wicker creaked. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Valor made a faint, guttural whine, as if pleading with her not to go. Jessie wiped her nose with the back of her sleeve. "What do I do?" Her voice cracked. "I don't know what to do." Cole breathed painfully. "Come closer." Every instinct inside her screamed no, but she moved anyway, slow, trembling, one hesitant shuffle at a time, until she stood in front of him. She could smell the iron of his blood. She could hear Valor's ragged breathing, and she could see the bomb clearly now. A nest of colored wires, a black box humming with deadly purpose, a blinking red light, each flash a cold whisper. Tick, tick, tick. Jessie felt her knees wobble. I don't know how to fix it." "Look inside your basket," Cole murmured. Jessie blinked and lifted the lid. Inside, nestled among the lupines, lay her little pair of silver flower scissors. "They're all we've got," Cole whispered. A soft gust of wind swayed the branches, scattering a handful of pine needles that drifted like fragile prayers around them. Jessie swallowed hard. "But I'm just a kid." "I know." Cole's voice gentled, even though pain shadowed every word. "But you're the only one here, and you're braver than you think." His eyes, tired, hopeful, terrified, locked onto hers. "You can help me. I need you to." Jessie felt something shift inside her, a small, fragile flame, glowing where fear had lived just moments earlier. It didn't make her less scared, but it kept her standing. She nodded once, a tiny nod, but resolute. "Okay," she whispered, "tell me what to do." Cole exhaled a shaky breath, half relief, half despair. "First, you have to see the wires clearly. Step closer to the bomb." Jessie's feet felt like they belonged to someone braver. She took 2 steps forward. The timer blinked again. The small digital beep echoed across the forest like a cold metronome. Valor whimpered softly, his head leaning toward her hand, as if reminding her she wasn't alone. Jessie reached out and touched the edge of the bomb casing. Not a real touch, more like a hover, her fingers shaking as though the slightest breeze could knock them aside. She looked up at Cole, her small voice trembling. "What if I mess up?" Cole blinked slowly, gathering his fading strength. "Then we trust..." He paused, breath catching painfully. "We trust you won't." A simple sentence, a heavy burden. And yet the forest, strange and silent, almost seemed to nod with him, as if the ancient pines themselves believed her capable of miracles. Jessie lifted the scissors. Her hands trembled so hard the metal clicked against itself. She had never felt so tiny, so breakable, so needed. The morning that once felt gentle now pressed around her like a test whispered by fate itself. She closed her eyes for half a heartbeat and drew in a breath that tasted of earth and rain and courage she had not known she possessed. When she opened them again, she said, "Tell me which wire to look at first." And in that moment, under the trembling canopy of Cedar Valley forest, a 9-year-old child stepped into the shadow of death, not with certainty, but with love. And sometimes that is enough. The forest did not breathe, it only watched. Every pine needle stood still, every bird fell silent, as if the whole valley sensed that a single wrong movement could send the world shattering into flame. Jessie Willow, 9 years old, small as a whisper, stood frozen before Deputy Cole Mercer and the bomb that pulsed on his chest like a mechanical heart. The scissors in her hand trembled. No matter how tightly she squeezed, her fingers shook as though her bones were made of wind. I don't, Jessie stuttered, tears blurring the wires into a single-colored haze. "I'm scared." "I know," Cole rasped. His voice was thin, a thread stretched too far. Fear means you understand what's at stake. That's good. It means you'll be careful. Valor, the German shepherd tied beside him, gave a weak huff. His tail twitched a fraction, as if he were trying to reassure her. Jesse glanced at the dog. Those half-closed amber eyes held no fear for himself, only worry for his partner. It made Jesse's throat close. They needed her. Her. A girl who still slept with a nightlight on bad nights. Jessie wiped her tears with the back of her arm, leaving streaks of forest dirt across her cheek. Why did they do this to you? Cole winced as a spasm of pain shot through his ribs. I tried to stop something I wasn't supposed to see. Men who don't want the law near their business. They thought this would silence me for good. Jessie felt a cold anger rising, strange, hot, unfamiliar. She didn't like imagining anyone hurting Cole or Valor. The deputy had shown her how to whistle through her fingers, had teased her about her crooked braids at the summer fair, had slipped her extra marshmallows during bonfire nights. Good people were not supposed to be tied to trees with bombs strapped to them. Jessie, Cole whispered, pulling her back from the edge of panic, you have to listen to me now. I'm trying, she whispered back, though her knees knocked like loose boards in a storm. First, he said with great effort, you have to look closely at the wires. Don't touch them yet. Just look. Jessie leaned forward. The timer blinked red, steady, slow, but far too alive. Wires of blue, green, yellow, red, and white coiled into the device like veins. She couldn't tell where anything began or ended. A drop of sweat rolled down her spine, despite the coolness of the morning. What do I do? She asked, voice thin as smoke. Cole swallowed hard, gathering strength. You're going to help me disarm it. I can't, Jessie whispered. Yes, you can. No, I can't. The words burst from her like a frightened bird escaping a cage. Cole didn't flinch. His face, though battered, held only calm certainty. An adult's fragile reassurance offered to a child he wished he'd never dragged into danger. Jessie, you were brave enough to come here, brave enough to stay, and brave enough to look at this bomb. That means you're brave enough to help me finish this. Jessie shook her head. Her chest felt tight. She pressed a hand to it, as if trying to keep her heart from pounding its way out. I want my dad, she whispered, sobbing. I want my mom. I don't want to die. Cole closed his eyes for a beat. When he opened them again, they were softer than the morning light. You're not going to die. I won't let that happen. You hear me? Jessie sniffed. But how do you know? Cole managed a tiny smile, crooked, exhausted, but real. Because today, the strongest person in Cedar Valley isn't me. It's standing right in front of me, holding a pair of flower scissors. Jessie let out a shaky laugh through her tears, a small one. But in that second, she felt something unfamiliar twist inside her chest. Not courage, not yet. But the beginning of it. She nodded once, hesitant, frightened, but willing. Okay, she whispered. Tell me what to do. Cole's breath hitched with relief. Good girl. First step, you're going to kneel so you're steady, not on your feet. They'll shake too much. Jessie lowered herself carefully, the forest floor damp beneath her knees. Her hands finally steadied a little now that she wasn't balancing. Now, Cole said, look for the fuse connector. It's small, black, looks like a beetle. Jessie scanned the bomb. I see it. Good. There are wires running into it. One of those wires... He paused, coughing, pain blooming across his face. Jessie flinched as if she felt it too. One of those wires will stop the timer, Cole finished. But if we cut the wrong one, it speeds up. Jessie's stomach twisted. I don't want to make it worse. I'll tell you which ones not to touch first. She nodded. The timer blinked again. Beep, beep, beep. Jessie swallowed, focusing through her blurred vision. Her hair stuck to her damp cheeks. She brushed it back with the back of her hand, leaving another streak of dirt across her face. Cole inhaled shakily. Okay, don't touch the red wire, whatever you do. Jessie nodded quickly. Okay, not red. Or the green one, not green. And definitely not the yellow. Jessie blinked. So, what do I touch? Cole exhaled through his teeth. The blue wire is the first one we try? Jessie reached out but stopped halfway. Her hand shook so violently the scissors clicked. "I can't," she whispered again. "You can." Jessie shook her head hard. "What if I mess up? What if I make it go faster?" Cole's voice broke then, not from fear of dying, but from the cruelty of asking a child to hold his life in shaking little hands. "Jessie," he said, voice raw, "I believe in you." He said it so simply, without hesitation, without doubt, like she was the most capable person in the world. Something inside Jessie shifted again, a small stone in the riverbed of her heart turning over, catching a new current. She lifted the scissors slowly. Her breath trembled out. Her voice was barely a whisper. Okay, I'm gonna try." "Good girl," Cole murmured. Jessie reached for the blue wire. The moment her scissors touched its edge, the timer beeped faster. "Stop," Cole said sharply. Jessie jerked back, almost dropping the scissors. "I'm sorry." No. Cole shook his head, fighting to stay conscious. "That was my fault. I forgot something. This model is different. Jessie, listen carefully. The blue one might be a trap wire." Jessie's breaths came faster, shallower. Her vision swam. Valor whined softly, pressing his nose against Jessie's knee, as if saying, "Stay with us." Jessie touched his head with trembling fingers. "I'm here," she whispered. Cole spoke again, voice drifting in and out like a weak radio signal. "Jess, look at the bomb. Look for a tiny switch beside the timer. See it?" Jessie leaned closer. "Yes." "Is it already flipped?" Jessie swallowed. "Yes." Cole cursed under his breath, softly but with the weight of despair. "What does that mean?" Jessie asked, terrified. "It means they armed the backup circuit," Cole said. "We can't cut the blue wire now. We have to wait until the circuit resets. Which means we lose time." Jessie glanced at the timer. It ticked down by 2 seconds. "Cole," she whispered, "I'm scared again." "So am I," he admitted. "But we face it together." Jessie wiped her nose again. "Do you promise?" "I promise." The forest seemed to lean closer, listening. Jessie steadied the scissors again. "What do we do next?" she whispered. Cole opened his mouth. And the chapter ends there, with fate hanging in the air like a held breath. The forest seemed to hold its breath for them. Every pine, every trembling leaf, every patch of sunlight dimmed, as if nature itself bent closer to hear what happened next. Jessie Willow felt the weight of the world pressing on her tiny shoulders. A 9-year-old girl kneeling in damp soil, holding a pair of silver flower scissors as if they were a sacred instrument. Deputy Cole Mercer's voice drifted in and out like a lantern light swaying in a storm, sometimes bright, sometimes fading dangerously low. The bomb upon his chest blinked its red warning slowly, rhythmically, like a steady pulse counting the seconds to oblivion. Valor, tied beside him, lifted his head just enough to rest it lightly against Jessie's leg. His touch was faint, mere grams of pressure, but to Jessie it felt like a whole arm wrapping around her, telling her she wasn't alone. "Jessie," Cole whispered again, forcing himself into clarity. "You listening?" She nodded hard, though tears gathered so thick in her eyes that the world became watercolor. "I'm here," she said. "Good," Cole murmured. "We don't have much time. I need you to be my hands." Jessie swallowed. Her throat hurt, raw with fear, but she forced herself to breathe. "I'll try." "That's all anyone can ask?" Cole's voice shook, not from panic, but from pain he'd been holding back with iron will. Jessie could feel how hard he was fighting to stay conscious. She knew, without understanding exactly how, that if he slipped into darkness now, the bomb would win. "Look closely at the wires again," Cole said. "I need to check something." Jessie leaned forward, squinting as sunlight flickered across the device taped to his chest. The timer beeped softly. The red light blinked again. "What do you see?" Cole asked. Jessie sniffed hard, wiped her eyes with the back of her sleeve, and peered closer. "There's a twisty black connector, and 5 wires, red, green, yellow, blue, and white." "Is the blue wire still connected tight?" "Yes." "And the switch on the side of the timer, is it still flipped up?" Jessie hesitated. "It's halfway, tilted." Cole's breath hitched. "Halfway." That shouldn't be possible. Jesse, listen very carefully. Don't touch that switch, not even by accident. Jessie pulled her hands into her lap instinctively. I won't. Good. That means the bomb is in a failsafe mode. One wrong movement and it jumps to fast detonation. That word, detonation, seemed too big for the forest, too sharp for Jessie's ears. It sounded like something that belonged in action movies her parents wouldn't let her watch. She took a shuddering breath. What do I do then? Cole closed his eyes, thinking through pain thick enough to drown a weaker man. Jessie waited, the scissors shaking in her small hands. Finally he spoke. We need to cut a wire, but not yet. First, you have to loosen some of the tape. Jessie's heart leapt into her stomach. Tape? Yes, slowly, carefully. You're not trying to pull anything off, just enough to see where the wires go. Jessie pressed her lips together. Her hands had never felt so clumsy before. She wished she had her mother's steady fingers, her mother who could braid hair so neatly the wind couldn't ruin it. Jessie's hands were small, messy, and jittery, but Cole's life depended on them. She approached the bomb again, trembling. Valor whined softly, low and trembling, as if sensing the danger. It's okay, Jessie whispered to him. I'll be careful. She slid her fingers under one corner of the tape, moving no faster than a snail crossing wet pavement. The tape resisted her at first, sticky, stubborn, almost as if it understood the stakes. Jessie's breath quickened. Easy, Cole murmured. I'm trying, she whispered back. The tape peeled up slightly, just slightly, enough to expose more of the wiring. The new angle let sunlight catch on something she hadn't noticed before. Another wire, thinner and silver, hidden beneath the others. Cole, I see a tiny wire you didn't mention. His eyes opened quickly. Color? No color. It's metal. Like the inside of a soda can. Cole cursed softly. Jessie flinched. She had rarely heard adults swear, and certainly not nice ones. That's a booby-trap filament, Cole said. If we cut the wrong wire, that one takes over. Jessie's stomach tightened. What do we kill first? The trap or the bomb? We kill neither. Cole took a slow breath. We confuse the trap first, then we cut the main line. Jessie blinked hard. How do we confuse it? There's a pressure pin under the filament, Cole said. See it? Looks like someone pushed a tiny thumbtack into the side. Jessie inhaled sharply. I see it. That pin is sensitive. If that moves even a hair, we're pine cone fertilizer. Jessie's mouth dropped open. A strangled, terrified laugh escaped her. That's not funny. I'm not trying to be funny, kiddo, Cole murmured. I'm just too tired to sugarcoat anything. Jessie exhaled very slowly. She couldn't remember the last time she had felt this scared. Her bones vibrated. Okay, she whispered. Tell me how to confuse it. You need to put one finger beside the pin, not touching it, just close enough to block any sudden movement. Jessie stared at him like he'd asked her to juggle a live porcupine. My hands shake, Cole. They'll shake less if you breathe. Jessie inhaled deeply. Her breath came out trembling, but steadier. Okay, she said. I'm doing it now. She extended her finger, carefully positioning it near the tiny metal pin. Her hand hovered, so close she could feel its coldness, but not touching it. Good girl, Cole whispered. Now hold it there. Jessie's finger hovered, frozen in space. I don't think I can hold it still, she whispered. You can, Cole said. If you could peel that tape, you can do this. Jessie's chest tightened, but she nodded. What next? Cole closed his eyes for a moment, clearly gathering the strength for the next instruction. When he opened them again, they were cloudy with pain, but blazing with determination. Now you use the scissors to separate the white wire from the others. Jessie blinked. Not cut it? No, just lift it gently. Jessie reached for the white wire. Slowly, she angled the scissors beneath it. Her finger trembled dangerously close to the pressure pin. Easy, easy, Cole whispered. Valor gave a soft grunt of encouragement, almost pushing his muzzle into Jessie's side to steady her. She didn't know whether it helped or made her more emotional, but she didn't push him away. Jessie lifted the white wire, just a centimeter. The forest held its breath again. I did it, she whispered. I think I did it. Cole's head sagged forward with relief. Good, good. Now comes the hard part. Tears welled in Jesse's eyes. That wasn't the hard part? Cole almost laughed, a weak, painful sound. Not even close. Jessie bit her lip, trying not to cry. Okay, she whispered. Tell me. We're going to cut the wrong wire first. Jessie blinked so fast tears splashed onto her knees. Why would we do that? Because cutting the right wire immediately triggers the trap filament. But if we cut the red wire first, the bomb assumes the trap already went off. It pauses the secondary circuit. Jessie stared at the red wire, bright, angry-looking, terrifying. Red means danger, she whispered. My mom says red means stop. Cole smiled faintly. Today, red means hope. Jessie raised her scissors. Her hand shook. She clenched her fists until her knuckles turned white, then positioned the scissors around the dreaded red wire. Ready? Cole breathed. No, Jessie whispered honestly, but I'll do it anyway. And with one breath, one prayer, one impossible spark of courage, Jessie Willow cut the red wire. The bomb beeped, once, sharp, loud, unpredictable. Jessie froze. Cole froze. Valor held his breath. The forest waited. The timer paused for half a heartbeat. And the chapter ends there. On the knife edge between life and death. The world did not explode. For one suspended second, nothing moved. Not the wind, not the branches, not even the dust motes drifting lazily in the sunbeams. It was as though time had frozen itself, stunned that a 9-year-old girl had dared to cut the red wire of a bomb. Jessie Willow remained in that stillness, with her breath caught somewhere between her lungs and her throat. She didn't dare blink. She didn't dare exhale. She wasn't sure she could. Cole Mercer didn't move either, though a tremor rippled up his spine. Valor, his faithful German shepherd, pressed his head harder into Jessie's knee as though shielding her from whatever might come next. His warm breath brushed against her leg in short, unsteady bursts. Then, a beep, not fast, not frantic. Just one slow, low beep. Jessie jumped as if struck by lightning. Cole? She whispered. Cole swallowed, pain dragging across his features. It's okay. That was the circuit pausing. You didn't kill us. Jessie almost laughed or cried or collapsed, but her body was too frozen to decide which. Relief swept through her so swiftly that her fingers went numb. But the danger wasn't gone. Not even close. The timer flickered. The red light dimmed slightly, but it still blinked. Still alive. Still waiting. Jessie's breath shook. I hate this, she whispered, voice cracking. I hate this so much. Cole winced as he tried to lift his head. Me too, kid. The honesty in his voice made her heart ache. Grown-ups rarely admitted they were scared. Jessie's hands trembled violently. The scissors slipped in her grip, and she clutched them tighter, suddenly terrified of dropping them and accidentally touching the wrong part of the bomb. Jessie? Cole's voice softened. Look at me. Jessie forced herself to raise her tear-filled eyes. You just did something incredible, he said. Something most adults wouldn't have the courage to try. Jessie's chin quivered. But I thought we were gonna die. So did I, Cole admitted with a crooked, exhausted half-smile. But here we are, still breathing. Jessie sucked in a shaky breath. The forest slowly exhaled with her, branches rustling gently, the canopy shifting like a giant waking from a bad dream. The world had moved again. But they weren't safe. Jessie, Cole whispered. We need to keep going. Jessie wanted to scream no. She wanted to run away, bury her face in her mother's apron, and pretend none of this had happened. She wanted to lie down in the lupine fields and let the purple petals hide her. But Cole and Valor were tied, bleeding, helpless. She was the only one free, the only one who could help. And even though she was only 9, Jessie Willow understood something about life in that moment, something hard and terrible and beautiful. Sometimes the smallest person is the only one standing between life and death. She wiped her cheeks with the back of her wrist. Okay, she whispered. What next? Cole's breath trembled. The effort of staying conscious was clearly wearing on him. Jessie saw his eyes flutter, saw the grayness creeping into his expression. Cole? she asked in a small, frightened voice. I'm here, he murmured, just feeling a bit like a punching bag a bear got bored of. Despite everything, Jessie let out a tiny, watery laugh. You don't look that bad. I appreciate the lie. Jessie steadied herself, scooting closer so the light fell more clearly on the device. The forest breeze tickled her hair, brushing blonde strands against the bomb casing. She tied her hair back with a small elastic from her wrist. Anything to keep it from brushing something dangerous. Cole watched her with a weary kind of pride. You're doing great, he said. Please don't say that, Jessie whispered. It makes me more scared. Cole actually chuckled, a soft, broken huff. Can't win with you, kid. Nope, Jessie whispered, more confident now that humor had found its way in. The timer blinked again. Beep! Jessie nearly jumped. Cole inhaled carefully. Okay, Jessie, the red wire bought us time, but we still have the trap filament and the main detonation line. Jessie frowned. What's the difference? Trap filament blows us up immediately if triggered, Cole said. Main line blows us up when the timer hits 0. Jessie blinked. Both sound bad. Because they are. Jessie took another deep breath. So, now we cut the blue wire? Cole hesitated. Too long. Jessie's heart stopped. Cole? Not yet, he finally said. There's something else first. Jessie felt dread creep through her limbs like cold water. What is it? You have to move the filament. Jessie froze. Her whole body turned to stone. I can't do that, she whispered. Yes, you can. No, I can't. Cole flinched at her panic. Valor let out a soft, low whimper, pressing his muzzle gently against Jessie's trembling hands. Jessie felt hot tears threaten again. Jessie! Cole's voice softened even more. Look at Valor. Jessie turned her head. The dog's amber eyes were dim but steady, trusting her completely, as if she were the only thing standing between him and darkness. Jessie wiped her nose on her sleeve. Okay, what do I do? Cole's voice grew firm, not loud but steady, the voice of a man clinging to life through sheer will. There's a tiny metal filament under the tape. You see it? Jessie leaned in. Yes. You need to lift it with the very tip of your scissors, slowly, carefully, without breaking it or pulling it. Jessie gasped. Without breaking it? But it's supposed to stop the bomb. It doesn't stop the bomb, Cole explained, jaw tight with pain. It triggers the trap. If you break we're done. Jessie's stomach lurched. Then why move it? Because, Cole whispered, it's blocking the access to the white wire's interconnection. And that's the only wire that can disarm the timer. Jessie stared at the delicate filament. Thin as a strand of hair, sharp as a nightmare. She gulped. I'm going to throw up. Please don't, Cole said. If I smell puke right now, I think I will too. Jessie let out a nervous, shaking laugh. Okay, no throwing up. That's the spirit. Jessie positioned her scissors. Her hand trembled violently. Steady, Cole murmured. You said that last time, Jessie whispered. It didn't help. Well, I'm trying my best too. Jessie inhaled through her nose. She steadied the scissors again. She moved the tip millimeter by millimeter. Her breath came out in tiny gasps. The filament lifted. Just slightly. Jessie's heart pounded so loud she feared it might set off the bomb. Good. Good, Cole whispered. Now hold it. Jessie froze, locking her muscles. What now? Now you reach under it, Cole whispered, and lift the white wire's connector, just enough to see the base. Jessie inhaled sharply. That sounds impossible. It's not, Cole said. It's just terrifying. Jessie gave a tiny, hysterical laugh. You're not helping. Cole smiled weakly. Sorry. With the scissors holding the filament suspended, Jessie moved her other hand, slowly, carefully, toward the white wire's connector. The metal felt cold beneath her fingertip. Just a little, Cole whispered. Lift it just a little. Jessie lifted it. The bomb beeped, a rapid, terrifying burst. Jessie screamed. Cole's eyes shot open. Valor barked weakly. The timer blinked twice, fast. Then it slowed, back to a steady, slow beep. Jessie sobbed, knees buckling. I can't do this. Please, Cole. I can't. Jesse. Cole's voice was suddenly strong, steady, unbroken. Jesse Willow, listen to me. She looked up. You just faced death, Cole said, and you didn't run. Jesse sniffed hard. But I wanted to. Courage isn't not wanting to run, Cole whispered. Courage is staying even when every part of you wants to flee. Jesse's tears fell silently. But what if I mess up the next step? Cole's voice gentled. Then we die trying together. Jesse blinked, surprised by the sorrow and kindness in his tone. But if you succeed, he said, you save 2 lives. She stared at Valor's eyes, at Cole's broken, hopeful face. And despite everything, despite the shaking and the terror and the unfairness, she nodded. Her small voice was barely wind, barely breath, barely anything at all. Okay, Jesse said. Tell me what to do next. And the forest leaned in, waiting, breathless for the next miracle. The first growl of thunder rolled across Cedar Valley, like the low warning of some ancient beast waking from slumber. Jesse Willow barely heard it over the pounding of her own heartbeat. She knelt in the dirt, hands trembling, face streaked with tears and dirt, tiny shoulders soaked with the cold sweat of terror and effort. Above her, clouds gathered like bruises across the sky. The sunlight that once warmed the trees had dimmed into a gray hush, as if heaven itself sensed the peril suspended in the clearing. Cole Mercer opened one swollen eye, breath ragged, voice fraying at the edges. Jesse, how's the filament? Jesse glanced at the delicate metal strand she held, suspended with the tip of her scissors. It's still lifted, she whispered. Her voice sounded thin, worn raw from crying. But my hand's shaking, Cole. I can't hold it much longer. You don't have to hold it much longer, he murmured. Just a few more steps. More steps! Jessie squeaked, her voice cracking like brittle pine needles. Every time we do a step, the bomb tries to kill us again. Yeah, Cole breathed. Welcome to my morning. Despite everything, a tiny laugh sputtered out of Jessie's throat, half hysteria, half relief that he was still conscious enough to joke. Another tremor of thunder vibrated through the trees. The wind picked up, tossing Jessie's hair wildly, brushing pine needles across her cheeks like cold fingers. A dark shiver ran through the clearing. Storm's coming, Jessie whispered. Storm's already here, Cole murmured. We're just trying to outrun it. Jessie nodded, steadying herself. She lifted her chin in that stubborn way her father always said meant trouble. But today, it meant courage. What do I do now? She asked. Cole blinked slowly, fighting to stay awake. His injuries were dragging him toward darkness, like a river toward a waterfall. Jessie could see it, see exhaustion pulling at him, see the way his head dipped before he forced it back up. He didn't have much time left. Okay, he whispered. Look at the white wire again. You lifted the connector, right? Yes. Good. Now, trace it. Jessie angled her head. Trace it? Follow it with your eyes, Cole explained, voice faint. See where it goes. That wire disarms the timer. If we get to its core, we can stop the countdown. Jessie followed the white wire. It snaked under the tape, curved beneath the bomb's casing, and vanished behind the connector panel. I can't see the core, she whispered desperately. You'll have to lift the tape a little more. Jessie felt her breath catch. But if I pull the tape too hard, I know. Cole's voice softened. But I trust you. Jessie swallowed hard. She wanted to say she didn't trust herself. Wanted to say she was only 9, that she got scared of spiders and lightning and, sometimes, even the dark hallway outside her bedroom. But Cole's eyes, full of pain and hope, held her steady. So she reached out and slid a fingertip beneath the tape's edge, slowly, carefully. A gust of wind nearly knocked her sideways. The sky rumbled again, not a gentle warning this time, but a deep, angry growl. Hurry, Cole rasped. If the rain hits the device, I'm trying. Jessie peeled the tape in tiny increments until the connector panel lifted slightly, exposing more of the white wire. For the first time, she saw something new. The inner joint. A small metallic dot where the wire entered the device's heart. That's it! Cole gasped, relief warming his voice. That's the disarm point. Jessie felt a jolt of hope, a spark of light in the suffocating terror. Okay, she whispered. What do I do with it? You cut it. Jesse's heart collapsed. Cut the white wire? But you said it's the only thing that disarms it. Yes, Cole whispered, and that's why we cut it, but only after lifting the filament and isolating the connector. Otherwise, he didn't finish. He didn't have to. A gust of cold wind slapped Jessie's face. She braced herself. But if I cut this wrong, I won't lie to you, Cole said, voice faint but steady. Yes, if you cut it wrong, we're done. But if you don't cut it at all, timer hits 0. Jessie felt something inside her crack, like a fragile shell she didn't know she had. For the first time since she entered the clearing, she understood that the choice wasn't between being brave and being scared. The choice was between doing nothing and trying, even if trying terrified her. She stared at the white wire, at the tiny core she had to cut, at the filament hovering above it, at the bomb blinking slowly, mockingly. She swallowed, then raised the scissors. Tell me exactly where to cut. Cole inhaled, his body trembling. Closer to the connector, not too close. Leave a small piece attached to the casing so the circuit breaks clean. Jessie moved the scissors inch by inch toward the pinpoint. The bomb beeped, a long, low beep. Jessie's heart jerked into her throat. Cole, it's okay, he said weakly. It's sensing movement. Just hold it steady. Jessie froze. Her breath was quick, shallow, panicked. Jessie, Cole whispered, his voice cracking. If you start crying now, I'll start crying, and that'll ruin my tough guy reputation. Jessie let out a strangled half laugh. Your reputation's already kind of ruined. You're tied to a tree, Cole. Cole managed a pained grin. Fair point. The humor steadied her. She adjusted her grip. Her hand shook violently. Jessie, Cole murmured, as gently as if he were speaking to a wounded bird. Courage doesn't mean your hands stop shaking. It means you move them anyway. Jessie exhaled. Her hands steadied, just a little. Okay, she whispered. I'm ready. Then do it, Cole whispered. Cut the wire. She closed the scissors. Just then, a bolt of lightning cracked through the clouds. The thunder that followed slammed through the forest like a giant's fist. The vibration rattled the bomb casing. Jessie's scissors slipped, not far, but enough to make the wire tremble beneath the metal. The timer beeped faster. Jessie screamed. Cole swore under his breath. Valor whimpered, pulling at his restraints. Jessie's tears spilled freely. I'm sorry, I didn't mean... Jessie, Cole barked, loud enough to cut through the storm. Listen to me. Jessie froze. His voice softened immediately. Don't apologize. Don't panic. Don't think. Just breathe. Jessie sucked in a trembling breath. Again. She inhaled. Again. She exhaled. The timer slowed. The red light steadied. Jessie blinked away tears. I'm okay, she whispered. I can do this. I know you can. Jessie repositioned the scissors, her breathing slow, controlled. Nothing like the terrified gasps from moments earlier. Storm winds whipped her hair. Drops of cold rain began to fall, slowly at first, like tiny warnings. Jessie angled the scissors. Right position, right pressure, right moment. 3, she whispered. 2, 1, snip. The white wire broke. The timer blinked, once, twice. Then the red light went dark. Jessie stared, frozen, silent. The bomb made no sound, no beep, no click, no hum, nothing. The storm raged around them, but the bomb lay still, silent as stone. Jessie sagged forward, shaking so violently her teeth chattered. She dropped the scissors. They fell into the pine needles with a soft thud. Cole, she whispered, barely able to breathe. Cole, I think I did it. Cole exhaled a long, broken sigh, half laugh, half sob. Tears streaked the dirt on his face. You didn't think you did it, he whispered. You did it. Valor lifted his head weakly and nudged her shoulder. Jessie dissolved into sobs, not fear this time, but relief so heavy it pushed her to her knees. You saved us, Cole murmured. Jessie Willow, you saved us. Lightning flashed behind them, thunder rolled overhead, rain poured, But for the first time since entering the forest, Jesse didn't care. The bomb was silent. Cole was alive. Valor was alive. The storm could rage all it wanted. Inside Jesse's trembling chest, a different kind of storm had just passed, and left behind a miracle. The rain came down in sheets, cold, sharp, and uninvited, like the sky had finally given up holding itself together. Water streamed down the pine trunks, trickled into the soil, and drenched everything beneath the trembling canopy. Jessie Willow stood in the middle of that storm, soaked down to her bones, her breath hitching in uneven sobs. The tiny pair of flower scissors lay at her feet, half buried in wet pine needles, forgotten now that the bomb's red eye had finally closed. Cole Mercer sagged against the ropes that bound him to the tree, head drooping forward, chest rising in shallow, painful breaths. The bomb casing, dark and silent, clung to him like a dead weight. But a harmless one now, thanks to Jesse. Valor, the German shepherd, let out a soft, pained whine. Rain matted his fur flat against his ribs. His eyes, dim but alive, stayed fixed on Jesse, as if trying to reassure her that he was still here, still fighting. Jesse hugged herself, trembling. "It's over, right? Cole, it's really over?" Cole's lips moved, but the words came out thin, carried away by the storm's breath. You did it." Jesse felt relief sweep through her again, like a warm wave in the cold rain. But instead of comforting her, it made her knees buckle. She dropped to the ground, palms sinking into wet dirt. She had held herself together through fear, pain, and panic that no child should ever know. She had forced herself to breathe when her lungs wanted to collapse. She had steadied her tiny, shaking hands while death hovered inches away. But now, when the threat was gone, her strength finally evaporated. She curled her fingers into the mud, bowing her head as sobs shook her little frame. Cole lifted his head a fraction. His eyes, exhausted, glassy, softened. "Jesse, hey, look at me." Jesse wiped her face with both hands, smearing dirt and tears and rain into a messy streak. She looked up, barely able to see him through the blur. I thought I was gonna kill you," she choked out. "I thought I was gonna mess up and everything was gonna—" "Shh," Cole murmured. "You saved us. That's all that matters." "But I didn't know what I was doing. I'm just a kid." Cole exhaled, the sound shaky and thin. "And yet, you did what grown men would have run from." Jesse sniffed hard. "I didn't feel brave." "Bravery's not a feeling," Cole whispered. "It's a choice." For a moment, the storm growled above them, a deep rumble that rolled through the valley. Jesse flinched as lightning flashed somewhere beyond the trees. The sudden thunder made Valor whine and press his muzzle harder against Jesse's knee. She reached out and stroked his head with trembling fingers. "It's okay, boy. It's okay now." Valor blinked slowly, leaning into her hand with the last of his energy. Jesse turned back to Cole. "We have to get you out," she said, her voice small but determined. "You're hurt, and Valor needs help too." Cole swallowed. "Yeah, I don't think I'm walking anywhere, not after what they did." His voice wavered as pain rippled through his ribs. Jesse looked around helplessly. Rain blurred the forest into gray shapes. The trails she once knew by heart had turned into slippery, muddy rivers. She had no phone, no radio, no grown-ups, no idea how to drag a full-grown man or free him from steel cables. "But there has to be something," Jesse whispered. Cole coughed weakly. "There is something. My radio, it was in my vest pocket. It might still work." Jesse scrambled toward him, slipping in mud. She reached for the pocket on his chest, but hesitated, terrified she might jostle the bomb casing, even though it now lay silent. "It's safe now," Cole murmured, reading her fear. "I promise. I don't know if the radio works, but we gotta try." Jesse nodded hard and reached again. Her small fingers dug into the soaked fabric until they closed around a rectangular shape. She pulled out the radio, mud-splattered, dented, soaked, the antenna bent sideways. "Will it work?" Jesse asked. Cole managed a faint smile. "Only one way to find out." Jesse pressed the button. Static crackled loudly through the storm. Her heart jumped. "Cole, it's on!" Cole's voice was a whisper. "Press the transmit button, the red one." Jesse did. "Say your name," Cole said. "Say it loud." Jesse lifted the radio to her lips. This is Jesse Willow. I'm in the woods and Deputy Mercer is hurt. We need help." Thunder swallowed her words. Cole shook his head gently. "Closer? Put it closer to your mouth. And speak clearly." Jesse tried again. Her voice trembled. "My name is Jesse Willow. Deputy Mercer is hurt and tied up, and we need help. Please." Static. Only static. Jesse's hope faltered. Her voice cracked. "Why isn't anyone answering?" "Storm. Interference," Cole whispered. "Just keep trying." Jesse swallowed hard and pressed the button again. "This is Jesse Willow. Please, someone hear me." The radio hissed. Then a faint voice responded. Jesse, that you? Repeat." Jesse gasped. Dad, is that you?" The voice crackled through static. Jesse, where are you?" Jesse's eyes flooded. I don't know. I went to get flowers and then I found Deputy Mercer and he's hurt really bad and there was a bomb and..." Her voice broke completely. Cole whispered, "Jesse, tell him the creek. Tell him where we are." Jesse took a shaky breath. "Dad, we're near the back creek, the one behind the big lupine field. Please fast." Static roared. Then Evan Willow's voice returned, loud, frantic, breaking. "Jesse, I'm coming. Stay exactly where you are. Do not move. Do you hear me? I'm coming with a rescue team right now." Jesse sobbed with relief and lowered the radio. It slipped from her hand and fell into the mud, but she didn't pick it up. Instead, she crawled to Cole, hugging his arm. "They heard us," she whispered. "They're coming." Cole's head rested heavily against the tree. Good girl. Knew you could do it." Jessie shook her head, tears mixing with rain. "No, I couldn't have done anything without you. You told me what to do." "I told you," Cole murmured, "but you did it." He leaned his head back, breathing shallowly. "Jesse?" "Yes?" "Stay here. Don't go anywhere." Jesse nodded. "I'm not leaving you." Cole gave a faint smile. "Didn't think you would." Valor shifted, laying his head in Jesse's lap. She stroked him gently, calming his soft whimpers. But the storm only grew darker. Lightning ripped the sky open. Thunder cracked so loudly it shook the ground beneath her knees. Jessie gasped and instinctively threw her arms over her head. Cole forced his eyes open. "Jesse, get my jacket. Put it over Valor. He's losing heat." Jessie obeyed immediately. She tugged the heavy, rain-soaked jacket down from Cole's shoulder and draped it over the dog. Valor sighed, eyes fluttering closed with relief. Jessie wiped rain from her face. "Cole, you're bleeding." He gave a tiny nod. "Yeah, I know. Are you going to be okay?" Cole didn't answer for a moment. Jessie's heart dropped. "Cole," finally he whispered, "I'm trying, kiddo." Jesse grabbed his hand, small fingers gripping his mud-covered palm. "Don't go to sleep," she pleaded. "My dad's coming, and the sheriff, and the rescue team. You have to stay awake." Cole's head sagged. "Jesse." "Yes?" Tell Valor he's a good boy." Jesse's breath hitched. Tears poured faster than the rain. "No, you tell him when the rescuers get here. You tell him yourself." Cole gave a faint smile that hurt to look at. "Bossy little thing, aren't you?" "Stay awake," Jesse begged. "Please." Cole's eyes fluttered. Jesse panicked. She pressed her forehead against his hand. "Cole, stay awake. You said we're a team." Cole exhaled softly, like a man surrendering something he didn't want to lose. "We are, and teams never..." His voice drifted. "Leave each other behind." Jesse shook him gently. Cole. His body slumped. Cole Mercer lost consciousness. Jesse froze, terror swallowing her whole. The bomb was gone. The storm raged. The forest shook. But the man she fought so desperately to save now hung limp in the ropes. Jesse drew in a sharp breath. Then she screamed into the storm. "Dad, please hurry!" Rain hammered the treetops like 1,000 frantic drums, each drop sharp enough to sting. Wind tore through the valley in sweeping gusts. scattering pine needles, bending branches, and twisting the forest into a living, howling creature. Cedar Valley had never seen a storm quite like this one. But the storm was nothing compared to Evan Willow's fear. He ran with the desperation of a father whose child was somewhere in the wilderness, hurt, scared, or worse. His boots slammed through mud and water, splashing onto the legs of the rescue team running behind him. A heavy flashlight swung from his belt. His breath came out in raw, panicked bursts. "Jesse!" he shouted into the roaring wind. "Jesse, keep calling. I'm coming." But no voice answered back. Only thunder. Sheriff Warren kept pace beside him, soaked to the bone, jaw clenched in grim determination. Behind them, 3 rescue volunteers and 2 paramedics pushed through the storm with stretchers, medical packs, and tools strapped to their backs. Radios crackled with static. "We're nearing the creek," Evan yelled, barely heard over the storm. "She said the back creek, near the lupine field." Warren swept his flashlight across the ground. Rain blurred everything. The beam caught waterlogged lupines crushed beneath frantic footsteps, the small, hopping trail of a child. "Tracks!" Warren barked. "She came this way." Evan didn't wait for confirmation. He sprinted ahead, sliding in mud, bracing himself with one hand against the slick bark of a pine tree. "Jesse!" he called again, his voice cracking with a mixture of hope and terror. "Baby, yell so Daddy can hear you." Still nothing. Only the storm screaming back at him. Jessie Willow sat on her knees in the mud, arms wrapped tightly around Valor and Cole. The dog lay half on her lap, half on the ground, shivering under Cole's jacket. Jessie stroked his head with frantic, jerky movements. Cole was worse. His body hung limp in the rain, head bowed, breath faint and uneven. Jessie shook him over and over. "Cole! Cole! Wake up! You have to wake up! My dad is coming." But Cole barely stirred. Lightning cracked overhead, a blinding white ripple through the clouds. Jessie flinched and ducked her head. Valor whimpered, nudging Cole's leg with his nose, weakly, desperately, as if trying to wake him. Jessie pressed her forehead against Cole's arm. "Please don't die," she whispered. "Please don't leave me here." The wind snatched her voice, scattering it among the trees. Then, somewhere beyond the storm, a sound. Jessie froze. Her heart skipped. Valor lifted his head, ears twitching. A shout. Jessie bolted upright. "Dad!" The shout came again, closer now, clearer, slicing through the wind like a lifeline. "Jessie!" Jessie scrambled to her feet, nearly slipping in the mud. "Dad! I'm here! I'm here!" Flashlights cut through. The darkness. Figures burst through the trees. Evan Willow at the front, face wild with fear and rain, followed by Sheriff Warren and the rescue team. The moment Evan saw his daughter, he cried out, half relief, half heartbreak. He ran the last few steps and swept her into his arms so hard the breath crashed out of her lungs. "Jessie!" he choked, voice breaking in a way she had never heard. "Oh God! Jessie, are you hurt? Are you hurt?" Jessie shook her head, sobbing. "Dad, it's Cole. He... Evan cupped her face with trembling hands. "Sweetheart, look at me. Are you okay?" "I'm okay," Jessie whispered. "But Cole..." She pointed toward the tree. Evan turned and staggered backward at the sight. Deputy Cole Mercer, beaten, bloodied, unconscious, tied to a tree by steel cables. A bomb casing strapped to his chest, wet and lifeless now. And Valor, the town's beloved K-9, shivering beneath his jacket, covered in bruises and cuts. Evan swore under his breath. Warren's face hardened, jaw tightening with fury. "Cut him loose," Warren barked. "Right now, someone get the bomb squad on the radio." "The bomb's dead," Jessie whispered. Everyone froze. Evan turned slowly to look at his daughter. "Jessie? Honey? What did you just say?" Jessie swallowed hard. She looked down at her small hands, covered in dirt, rainwater, and streaks of blood. Not hers. I cut the wires," she whispered. "Cole told me how. I didn't want to, but he said I had to. So I did." The clearing fell silent except for the storm. One of the paramedics dropped his flashlight. It hit the ground with a splash. Warren's eyes widened in disbelief. Jesse, you defused a bomb? Jessie nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. I didn't want to, but Cole said there wasn't time, and no one else could. Evan's hands trembled as he pulled her into him again. This time, not from fear, but from something deeper. Awe, pride, grief. Oh, sweetheart, he whispered against her hair. You saved his life. Jessie shook her head. I don't know. He passed out. Evan turned toward the paramedics. Get him down! Now! The team sprang into motion. One man cut through the steel cables with heavy tools. Another steadied Cole's body as it sagged forward. Two paramedics rushed to support him, laying him carefully on the stretcher. What about Valor? Jessie cried, scrambling after them. Warren knelt beside the dog. We've got him. He lifted Valor gently, wrapping him in the rest of Cole's jacket. The dog whimpered, but didn't resist. Jessie moved to Valor's side and stroked his soaked fur. You're okay, she whispered. You're going to be okay. Valor's tail thumped once against the flannel fabric, weak but alive. The rescuers strapped Cole securely, checking his pulse, his breathing, the wounds across his chest and head. Concussion, broken ribs, dehydration, shock, one paramedic murmured. We need to move, now. Warren turned to Evan. We've got a trail through the East Ridge. It's rough, but it's faster. Evan nodded sharply. Let's go. But Jessie tugged his sleeve. Dad, there were men, bad men. Cole said they tied him up. They put the bomb on him. They hurt Valor. Warren stepped closer. Jessie? Did Cole say who they were? Jessie sniffed. He said they didn't want him near their work. Something about rock quarry stuff? Warren swore softly. Illegal blasting. The quarry suspects. Evan stiffened. You think it's them? Warren's jaw hardened. I don't think I know. He turned to his deputies. Lock down every exit from Cedar Valley. Notify SWAT. At dawn, the dead elk quarry becomes a crime scene. Jessie clutched her father's hand. Are they going to hurt other people? No, Warren said, kneeling so he could meet her eyes. Because we're going to stop them, thanks to you. Jessie looked down, cheeks flushing red beneath the rain. But I was so scared. Warren smiled softly. Courage isn't the absence of fear, Jessie. It's the decision that someone else is worth facing it for. Jessie didn't fully understand, but she nodded anyway. Evan scooped her up, holding her close as the rescue team began carrying Cole and Valor out of the clearing. Dad? Jessie whispered into his shoulder. Yes, sweetheart? Is Cole going to wake up? Evan hesitated only a moment. We're going to make sure he does. Jessie curled into him, exhausted at last. The storm still roared, lightning still cracked, thunder still shook the world. But for the first time since she'd stepped into the forest that morning, Jessie felt safe. She looked back once more at the clearing, at the ropes dangling from the tree, the bomb casing abandoned in the mud, the scissors glinting faintly in the rain, the white wire she cut, a thread between life and death, a thread she had held with trembling little hands, and because of her, it hadn't snapped. Dawn crawled into Cedar Valley like a weary traveler, slow, pale, and burdened by the storm that had thundered across the mountains through the night. Wisps of mist coiled above the pines, drifting between them like wandering spirits reluctant to leave the world of rain and shadows. Pools of water shimmered across the forest floor, turning the earth into a patchwork of silver mirrors. Sheriff Warren stood at the edge of the dead elk quarry, rain jacket hanging heavy with the remnants of the storm. He stared into the hazy gray pit below, jaw tightening. The quarry, usually abandoned and silent, now hummed with the quiet breath of danger. It wasn't just a hole in the earth, it was a wound carved by men who believed no law could reach them. Behind him, SWAT officers clipped gear into place, checking rifles, radios, and headsets with calm, practiced movements. Their breath steamed in the cold dawn air. Deputies moved between trucks, loading fresh batteries into drones, checking flashbangs, securing ropes. Sheriff, Deputy Hale called quietly. Drones are ready. Warren nodded. Send them up. A soft, mechanical hum rose into the fading darkness as two drones lifted skyward, their red lights blinking like tiny watchful eyes. The screens in the mobile command van flickered to life, displaying aerial views of the quarry, rusted machinery, broken conveyor belts, makeshift tents, piles of illegally mined stone, and deeper in the shadows, shapes moving. Men, armed, on the run. Warren inhaled sharply. He could still hear Jesse Willow's trembling voice from last night echo in his mind. They hurt Cole. They tied him up. They put the bomb on him. And the look on Cole's unconscious face when they carried him out. The bruises, the blood, the ropes cutting into his skin. Warren's jaw clenched until his teeth ached. "No one does that to one of my deputies," he muttered. "No one." He looked over the valley once more, then turned to his team. "We move in at my signal," he said. "These men are armed, desperate, and cornered, but they are not ghosts. They bleed. They answer for what they've done." The officers nodded silently. Warren lifted his hand, and the operation began. The first drone zoomed low over the quarry entrance, its camera locking onto 3 figures huddled inside a makeshift shack. One cleaned the barrel of a rifle, another stuffed gear into a duffel bag. The third paced nervously, glancing toward the forest as though expecting justice to arrive at any moment. 3 suspects at the main shack, the drone operator reported. "All armed." "Copy," Warren said. "Team Alpha, move." 5 SWAT members slipped silently through the underbrush, their boots soundless on the wet earth. They reached a ridge overlooking the shack, positioning themselves behind rock outcroppings blackened by illegal blasting. Warren raised 2 fingers. "Alpha Team." Surged forward. With one swift kick, they smashed open the cabin door. "Sheriff's Department! Hands where we can see them!" Chaos exploded inside the shack. The suspect holding the rifle tried to lift it, but a SWAT shield slammed into him, knocking him flat. Another suspect dove for the duffel bag, but an officer pinned him with a knee and cuffed his hands behind his back. The third suspect held up his hands immediately, shaking like a trapped rabbit. 3 suspects secured, Alpha Team confirmed over the radio. Warren's eyes narrowed. Good. 2 more to go. The second drone scanned deeper into the quarry, sweeping across crates of mining equipment and tarps concealing makeshift demolition supplies. "There!" the operator shouted. 2 suspects running southwest, toward the ridge trail. Warren grabbed his radio. "Team Bravo, cut them off. They're heading for the tree line." Deputies sprinted through the forest, pushing branches aside, their boots pounding the muddy ground. Thunder still murmured through the valley, though the storm had already passed. The air felt charged, alive with the remnants of last night's fury. The 2 fleeing suspects crashed through brush, stumbling over roots, breath ragged. One yelled over his shoulder, "Keep running! They'll kill us if they catch us." The other shouted back, "They'll kill us anyway! Cole got out!" Panic made them clumsy, desperate, predictable. Warren emerged from behind a fallen cedar like a shadow peeled from the forest. "Sheriff's Department," he barked, gun raised. "Hands in the air!" The suspect skidded to a stop, mud flying. One reached for his weapon. Bad choice. A SWAT officer tackled him from the side, knocking him into a ditch. The second suspect dropped to his knees, hands up, breath collapsing into the cold air. "We didn't mean to kill him," he babbled. "We just wanted to scare him." Warren stepped forward until he towered over the man. Strapping a bomb to someone and leaving them to die isn't scaring them. That's attempted murder. The man's eyes went wide. "Please, please, we only did what we were told." Warren grabbed him by the jacket collar. "And who told you?" The man trembled. "Our boss, the quarry foreman. He said Deputy Mercer found out about the illegal blasting, the land-selling scheme, the payoffs. He said the deputy had to disappear." Warren's face hardened. "Disappearing days are over." He radioed in. "Bravo team, 2 suspects in custody." Half an hour later, the entire quarry was secured. Officers swept through the camp, collecting evidence. They found crates of illegal explosives, detonators, forged permits, maps of Cedar Valley with red X6 marking routes through the forest, and a folder inside the main shack titled People to Silence. Sheriff Warren opened it. the first name on the beast list. Cole Mercer. He swallowed hard. Jessie Willow's name wasn't there, but she had come close to crossing their path anyway. A chill crept across Warren's spine. "Sheriff," Deputy Hale said quietly, "you need to see this." He pointed at a second page in the folder. Handwritten notes. "Cole suspects us. Remove him this week. K9 must be dealt with. Kid saw us near the creek last month. Keep watch." Warren's blood boiled. A child. They had surveillance notes on a child. He closed the folder with a snap. "Bag everything," he ordered. "The DA will want all of it. These men are going away for a long time." "And the foreman?" Hale asked. "Already in custody," Warren said tightly. "He tried to bribe the arresting officers. That'll help nail him even harder." A deputy jogged up. "Sheriff, the hospital called. Cole's stable. They think he'll wake up soon." Relief cracked Warren's stern expression. "Good. Make sure Valor gets the best care, too. That dog's a hero." "How about the girl?" the deputy asked. A slow, soft smile touched Warren's weathered face. "Jessie Willow? She's more than a hero." He looked across the quarry as the suspects were herded into police vehicles. "She's a miracle." As the last handcuffed criminal was shoved into the back of a patrol truck, Warren turned toward the east. Sunrise finally pushed through the thinning clouds, casting a warm glow over the battered quarry. The light washed over stone and mud, over ropes and crates and trucks, illuminating everything that had once been hidden. It felt like justice. It felt like the storm had lifted not only from the sky, but from Cedar Valley's heart. Warren keyed his radio. "This is Sheriff Warren. All suspects in custody. Bomb-making materials recovered. Case closed on the quarry incident. Cedar Valley is safe." He exhaled. "And make sure the record shows. This operation began because of a brave 9-year-old girl." The radio crackled with a deputy's voice. "Copy that, Sheriff." Warren turned toward his truck. There was still a hospital room waiting for him. Still 2 lives who needed reassurance. Still a child who needed comfort after surviving the impossible. As he climbed in, he whispered under his breath, "Good job, Jessie. You saved him. Now it's our turn to protect you." He started the engine. And Cedar Valley, washed clean by the storm, prepared to welcome back its heroes. A week passed, and Cedar Valley changed in small, quiet ways. Ways only a town with a tender heart could understand. The storm that had thrashed through the mountains seemed like a distant memory now. The sun returned with gentle warmth, softening the edges of the world, turning puddles into mirrors and painting the hillsides with morning gold. Lupine fields swayed in purple-blue waves, stretching toward the horizon like a reunion of tiny miracles. People in town still whispered about the quarry raid, about the arrests, about the illegal explosives and the terrifying cruelty of the men who had nearly taken a deputy's life. But beneath all those whispers, one name carried on every breath: Jessie Willow, the little girl who saved them. Children carried baskets of flowers to her porch. Elderly folks stopped by with pies, quilts, jars of honey. Someone hung a small banner on Main Street that read, "Our bravest heart lives in a 9-year-old." Jessie blushed every time she saw it, but what mattered most, what everyone waited for, was whether Deputy Cole Mercer would recover, and whether Valor, Cedar Valley's beloved K9, would rise to his paws again. The Cedar Valley Hospital sat at the foot of Pine Ridge, its windows glowing like candles each night. Cole had spent 4 days inside, drifting in and out of consciousness. His ribs were broken, his head wrapped in gauze, his shoulder bruised deeply. But he lived. And Valor lived. The dog had been kept in the veterinary wing, monitored carefully. Cuts on his legs, bruised ribs, dehydration, but nothing fatal. Every time someone passed by his kennel, he thumped his tail weakly, trying to stand, trying to be brave even when his body begged for rest. Jessie visited almost every day. She would sit on the floor beside Valor, reading picture books to him, stroking his fur with gentle hands. Valor would rest his head in her lap, eyes closing as if listening to a lullaby only he could hear. "Your partner's tough," the vet said once. Jessie nodded proudly. "He's the bravest dog in the world." But she always added softly, "After Cole." On the seventh day, word spread. Cole was awake and asking for Jesse. The Willow house hummed with quiet excitement that morning. The kitchen smelled of blueberry pancakes. The sun drifted through the curtains in soft golden ribbons. Jessie sat at the table, swinging her legs nervously. "Dad, do you think he's okay?" Evan Willow poured coffee into a mug and glanced at his daughter. "He's better because of you. But what if he looks different? What if he's mad I touched the bomb? What if—" Evan knelt beside her chair. "Sweetheart." He placed a hand over hers. "Cole isn't going to be mad. He's alive because of you." Jessie swallowed hard. "I'm scared." Her mother, Mara Willow, brushed a curl behind Jessie's ear. "That's okay," she said softly. "Courage doesn't disappear just because the danger is gone. Sometimes it takes courage to face happy things, too." Jessie considered this, chewing her lip. "I guess I can try." Evan ruffled her hair. "That's my girl." Later that afternoon, a soft knock sounded at the front door. Jessie peeked through the window and almost tripped over her own feet. It was Cole. He stood in the doorway, leaning lightly on a crutch, still wrapped in bandages but wearing a warm flannel jacket. His smile was faint but real, and beside him, sitting taller than anyone expected after such injuries, was Valor, fur-brushed, eyes bright, tail sweeping the porch floor in a slow wag. Jessie gasped. "Cole!" She flung the door open so hard it bounced off the wall, then rushed toward him, only stopping short at the last second, remembering his ribs. Cole laughed, wincing. "Easy there, superstar." Fragile deputy in the room. Jessie covered her mouth. "I'm sorry, I forgot." Valor leaned forward, pressing his head into her stomach. Jessie squealed with delight and wrapped her arms around the dog's neck, careful to avoid the tender spots. "You're okay," she cried into his fur. "I was so worried." Valor huffed and licked her cheek, tail thumping harder. Evan and Mara stepped outside, faces warm with welcome. "Sheriff said you'd be dropping by," Evan said, smiling. "Come in, Cole. You look like you could use a seat." Cole chuckled softly. "Feels like every bone in my body could." They settled into the cozy living room. Jessie perched at the edge of her seat, watching Cole like he might vanish if she blinked. Cole rested his hands on his knees. "So," he began slowly, "I hear there's a hero in the room, 9 years old. Answers to Jessie Willow." Jessie's face flushed crimson. "I'm not a hero." Cole raised a brow. "Jessie, you defused a bomb with a pair of flower scissors." Jessie twisted her fingers in her lap. "Because you told me how." Cole leaned forward. "Jessie, I wasn't the one holding the scissors. I wasn't the one who stayed when it got scary. I wasn't the one who kept going even when every part of you wanted to run." His voice softened. "That was all you." Jessie blinked rapidly as tears gathered in her eyes. I didn't want you to die." Cole swallowed, emotion flickering across his bruised face. "And you didn't let me." He held out his hand. "Jessie Willow, you saved my life." Jessie stared at his hand for a moment, then placed her small palm into his. It felt warm, strong, alive. Cole squeezed gently. And Valor's life, too. At his name, the German shepherd barked softly, leaning against Jessie's leg as if in agreement. Jessie wiped her eyes. "I'm really glad you're okay." "Me too," Cole said quietly. "Thanks to you." As the evening sun dipped behind, the Hills, the Willow family, invited Cole and Valor to stay for dinner, the table filled with warm food, laughter, and soft conversation. Jessie told the story, carefully with pauses and shaky breaths, of how she found Cole, how terrified she had been, how she wanted to run away but didn't. Cole listened with his head bowed, sometimes closing his eyes when she reached the harder parts. Mara would place a gentle hand on Jessie's back whenever her voice cracked. When Jessie finished, the room fell quiet. Cole reached out and put his hand over hers again. "You were never alone," he said softly. "Valor and we felt you with us. You were the only light in that whole terrible morning." Jessie's eyes flickered with something bright and proud. Valor nudged her shoulder, letting his head rest in her lap. After dinner, they stepped outside to the porch. The storm had scrubbed the world clean. Now the valley glowed with a soft, golden afterlight. Fireflies had begun to blink in and out among the lupines. Jessie stood beside Cole, hugging her sweater tight around her. "Cole? Do you think the bad men are gone forever?" Cole nodded. "Sheriff Warren and the SWAT team made sure of it. They won't hurt anyone ever again." Jessie looked out across the field. "Good." Cole studied her small silhouette against the fading sky. "Jessie, if you ever feel scared or unsure, or if you need anything at all, you can call me. I'll always show up. You saved my life. I owe you everything." Jessie smiled shyly. "You don't owe me. You're my friend." Cole's throat tightened. "Yeah, I guess I am." Valor leaned gently against Jessie's leg. Jessie scratched behind his ears. "And you're my friend too." The dog's tail curled around her like a warm brushstroke. The sun dipped fully behind the mountains, and the first stars pricked the heavens like quiet blessings. Cedar Valley breathed again. Peace after fear, light after darkness, hope after the storm. Jessie Willow, small and brave and full of quiet miracles, stood in the glow of that evening with two survivors beside her. And somewhere in the wind, the valley whispered a truth older than the mountains. Sometimes, the smallest hands carry the greatest light. In the quiet corners of our lives, miracles often arrive the same way they came to Cedar Valley. Not with thunder or grand displays, but through the small courage of ordinary hearts. Jessie did not set out to be a hero. She simply chose compassion when fear tried to silence her. And in that simple choice, God's gentle hand worked a miracle through her. Maybe that is how blessings appear in our own days too. Not always in the moments we expect, but in the times when we decide to help someone, to stand firm, to listen to the voice calling us toward kindness. God moves through the smallest hands, the smallest acts, the smallest spark of courage, and sometimes the light we carry becomes the light that saves someone else. If this story touched your heart, please share it with someone who needs hope today. Leave a comment, let us know where you are watching from, and subscribe to the channel so more people can hear stories of faith, courage, and second chances. May God bless every person who has watched until the end. And if you believe that miracles still walk among us, carried by people just like Jessie, type Amen in the comments so your light may join ours.